On the most recent video I did talking about potential candidates to replace Tashard Choice as Texas's running backs coach, YouTube user Ronald Dato D5N left a comment saying, "Recruiting talk is the key to your new YouTube show." Don't believe me? There it is, right there. Hey, thanks for the tip, Ronald. Let's see if you're right. On today's show, we're recapping the huge Under Armour recruiting event that took place in Dallas over the weekend and giving some updates on some of the top Longhorn targets in the classes of 2026 and 2027 right here on the BK Show. What's up, guys and gals? Welcome in to another edition of the BK Show. This is your one-stop shop for Texas Longhorns content on YouTube. I'm your host, BK Brad Kellner. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel as well. And please comment below. If you have video requests, hit me up in the comments. Let me know what y'all want to hear. We'll talk about it right here on the BK Show. We're talking recruiting today. Under Armour Camp Series continued its spring schedule with a stop at Melissa High School yesterday. That's in the DFW Metroplex, and some of the top prospects from the DFW Metroplex were in attendance. It was a loaded list of attendees that featured a bunch of Texas targets in the next two classes. We've got some insider updates on a few big names from folks who attended the event. I want to start with running back because everyone's freaking out a little bit about Texas losing Tashard Choice to the Detroit Lions. The class of 2026 is loaded at running back, especially in the state of Texas. 4 of the top 5 running back recruits in this cycle are in the Lone Star State. It's insane. 4 of the top 5 at any position is nuts. You get him at running back this year. So it's a huge year for the Longhorns to land at least one, if not 2 of those guys. And one of those guys is Carthage running back KJ Edwards, who's listed currently as the number 2 running back in the 24/7 composite rankings for the class of 2026. He was there yesterday. And the good news for Texas, well, he has an official visit set up to Austin from June 6th through the 8th. By all accounts, he still plans on taking that visit. And insider reports say that despite Tashard Choice leaving Texas, Edwards is still very much considering the Longhorns. Hank South of Horns 24/7 reported that Edwards is big on relationships. So he says whoever the next running back coach at Texas is, as long as he reaches out to him a lot, he will still have that interest in Texas. So, of course, whoever Steve Sarkisian brings in to replace Choice is going to have to go to work pretty early. But the good news is KJ Edwards still giving Texas a chance, still keeping an open mind, and still seemingly very much interested in what the Longhorns have to offer. Now, he also has other OVs set up with A&M, SMU, and Baylor. I see that, and I think that's good news for Texas because, well, it seems Edwards is pretty keen on staying in the state of Texas with all 4 of those OVs in the state of Texas. So Tashard Choice did enough work to get KJ Edwards interested. Now it's up to the next running back coach to keep him interested. And the Longhorns have a pretty nice recruiting pitch on their side. 5 running backs in the last 3 NFL drafts out of the University of Texas. No, by the way, I will say this. Edwards does plan on committing in August. It's before the start of this coming season, so the new running back coach will have to hit the ground running to make sure they can build that relationship up with the 4-star Carthage running back. But again, Edwards keeping an open mind, still interested in Texas, obviously wants to see who the Longhorns hire. We all want to see who the Longhorns hire to be the next running backs coach. Another big name, 2026 target, who attended Mansfield Lake Ridge offensive lineman Felix Ojo. If you're a recruiting junkie, Felix Ojo has become a household name. He's a 4-star offensive lineman, the 8th ranked tackle in this class of 2026, 70th overall player according to the 24/7 Sports Composite rankings, listed at 6'6", 285. He was at the event yesterday, was also officially invited to participate in the Under Armour All-American game. So congrats to Felix Ojo on that honor. That will be pretty cool in terms of a recruiting standpoint. He recently dropped the top 8. Texas was in that top 8, and he has an official visit set to Texas as well. The good news, more good news, as of this moment in time, on February 17th, Texas is the only school that has an OV set in stone with Felix Ojo. Now, that's going to change. Ojo met with the media. I saw this report from Orange Bloods. He told them that schools like Michigan, Ohio State, Ole Miss, and Oklahoma are all probably going to get visits as well. So even though Texas has the only OV on the docket, still a long way to go in Felix Ojo's recruitment with almost 10 months until we get to the first signing day in December. Ojo was recently in Austin for the Texas Junior Day, said he really loved it, said he had a great time. There was a player panel event that he really liked. He said it opened his eyes to the Texas coaches, including Kyle Flood, who, of course, is the offensive line coach here in Austin and the guy who's going to be working with Felix Ojo the most. Cool panel event. Some of the current Texas players talked to these recruits about their experiences so far in Austin, and it sounds like that really resonated with Felix Ojo. And Texas, according to Felix, said that, number one, Felix Ojo is a huge priority. But number two, he reminds him of Kelvin Banks. And the Longhorns coaching staff have similar visions of Felix Ojo as to what they had with Kelvin Banks. How about that for a sell? Kelvin Banks just won the Lombardi Award. He won the Outland Trophy Award. He was an All-American. He's about to be a top 15 pick in April's NFL draft. If you're getting compared to that guy, that's good news. And if the coaching staff wants you to be that guy, that's a pretty good recruiting pitch because Kelvin Banks made himself a lot of money at Texas, both in college with NIL and obviously getting developed the way that he did from Kyle Flood and the rest of this staff, is going to make him a lot of money on draft night and a lot of money over the course of his NFL career. So there's some positive updates right there. Texas seemingly in a great spot with Edwards, seemingly in a great spot with Ojo. Now a not so good update from some of the conversations that were had in Melissa yesterday. We'll wrap up with some positivity. We won't end on a bad one. We'll talk about two more players who were there who gave some interesting quotes to local media on scene. But we'll start with the bad right here. Duncanville edge rusher KJ Ford was there. And whenever I hear Duncanville, I don't know about y'all, but I get excited. I mean, Texas got Colin Simmons from Duncanville. They got Cam Williams from Duncanville. Duncanville is one of the premier programs in the state of Texas. They send talented players to college football every single year, and everybody and their mother is trying to recruit Duncanville High School. Texas has had plenty of success there as well. You want as many guys from that program as you could possibly get. Unfortunately, in regards to KJ Ford, it doesn't sound like Texas is really in the mix right now. And that could change. And apparently, new Texas defensive line assistant LaAllen Clark has reached out to Ford, and they've made contact. So maybe getting Clark from Ohio State, maybe KJ Ford sees how good the Buckeyes defensive line was last year. Those guys are probably going to have 3 defensive linemen picked in the top 50 in April's NFL draft, including 2 edge rushers with JTT and Jack Sawyer. Maybe that will get the Longhorns back into the good graces of KJ Ford. But as of this moment in time, Ford has no visits planned to Austin, officially or unofficially. He's got OV set up for A&M, Oklahoma, and Alabama right now. And apparently when he met with some folks yesterday, he talked about those 3. He also talked about LSU, and he talked about USC. So he mentioned like 5 or 6 different schools. Texas was not one of them. So it feels like right now the Longhorns are pretty far down the list at this point. Again, I want to reiterate, still 10 months left before we get to the early national signing day. But it doesn't sound like the Longhorns are in a great standing with Duncanville edge KJ Ford right now, which is a bummer because you want as many Duncanville players as you possibly can. Those guys have played in big games. You know they're developed. You know they're talented. And oh, by the way, the more Duncanville Panthers you can recruit, the more future Duncanville Panthers you're going to recruit as well. So we'll see if Texas can turn the tide there. And last but not least, for today's video, let's talk about Frisco Panther Creek safety Donovan Webb. He's got 3 official visits set right now. Texas is not one of them. It's Texas Tech, it's SMU, and it's Ohio State, but Texas still very much in the mix. The expectation is for Donovan Webb to take one of his other OVs to Austin at some point this summer. And here's the good news if you're a Longhorn fan. Donovan Webb grew up a Longhorn fan. That helps. He's also close friends and high school teammates with Texas target Jalen Lott. Those guys have both been pretty open about wanting to play with each other in college. Texas has done a great job to this point recruiting the 4-star wide receiver Jalen Lott. Hank South of Horns 24/7. I know I brought him up earlier. I'll bring him up again. He actually has given a crystal ball prediction for Lott to end up at UT. So if those guys do want to play together, seems like it's trending for Texas to end up with both of them because they're in a very good standing with Jalen Lott. And again, nothing official on the books in terms of a visit yet for Donovan Webb, but it sounds like there is a very, very good chance that happens. And he was actually talking to some folks yesterday at the event and said Texas is definitely in his top 5. He's attended several Longhorn games in the past. Again, he is a Texas fan, and he also mentioned that he has spoken with Mark Orfe, the new Texas safeties coach who Steve Sarkisian just hired away from Rutgers. And Webb said that Orfe made him feel like a priority and made him feel like he was at home over the phone. So it sounds like Mark Orfe already hitting the ground running on the recruiting trail. And it sounds like Donovan Webb is one of the top targets at safety for Texas in this upcoming class of 2026. And again, the fact that Texas is in good standing with Jalen Lott might mean that they're in very good standing with Donovan Webb as well. So plenty more nuggets we could get to, and we'll talk about more recruiting as we move forward. And I'll have some guests, some great insiders on to talk about Texas Longhorn recruiting in the upcoming class of 2026 and the class of 2027 as well. But some quick hitters, so y'all don't have to go out there and do a bunch of research. Quick hitters on 4 key targets for Texas in this class of 2026. Guys who will be instrumental in the Longhorns closing in on another top 5 class, maybe closing in on another top 1 class, which would be pretty awesome. So there you go, Ronald Dado. Thanks for the fortune cookie telling me that my channel is going to succeed if I start talking more recruiting. Hope you enjoyed what you heard. Hope all of you enjoyed what you heard. If you've made it this far, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Texas Longhorns content every single day right here on the BK Show. That's going to do it for today's video. Remember, when you watch the BK Show, you rule. See y'all tomorrow.